Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Happy Saturday to you. We're going to take a very quick look here at Bitcoin. Just kind of jump through some obvious stuff and kind of continue on from there. Kind of see where we're at there. Obviously helping understand best practice and big picture. So if you're new to the channel, not a financial advisor, love teaching people to trade, I really hope you can learn something here today. Obviously if you do, comment below, let me know. I love to hear your positive feedback, even constructive criticism, honestly. It's perfectly fine. That being said though, I have a trading academy community and signal group if you want to become a better trader. CryptoCache.tech is a site, link in the description below. Check that out in your own time. Now, here's where we're at so far with all of this. We lost the support level here right around 20,000. Actually, sorry, it was 20,000 to be specific, right around 20,800 as a better specific number there. Okay, and in that regard, when you kind of see something like that happen, you can tell that the price action is likely going to continue lower. In other words, just kind of big picture here, I mean, even though we might experience a slight bounce, it does feel like the price is going to continue a little bit lower. So again, if we take a look, actually, let's look at this one here. This is the one I wanted to show you. We have this, basically this bear flag type of pattern. You know, it gets range bound and then inevitably breaks to the downside. However, we were expecting the price action to come up and probably retest 28,000, but that never happened. And now we retested that level here at about 21,500, got rejected, and now it's on its way down. So again, this leg down could be, I wouldn't say it's going to be super significant, but we'll likely see a retest of somewhere in the 17,600 range as a potential. Okay. Now again, no guarantees on that. We could very well bounce and be all good from here, but you know, it's not looking fantastic in that regard. Okay. But let's take a look at some other stuff and kind of see where we're at here. All right, so again, this monthly hasn't closed yet, but we're underneath the 50-day set moving average again, so it's not a great sign. And unfortunately, the history of Bitcoin making 2 green candles after three reds is pretty much broken here, unless we can close somewhere in the range of 24,000 or higher in the next 4 days. So again, that trend is broken too. So a lot of trends that are getting broken here, and the main reason why too is the Fed announcement. I mean, there was so much liquidations yesterday. It was just ridiculous with, just kind of Jerome Powell basically saying things are going to get worse, right? So that didn't provide any good sentiment. It also provided, NASDAQ and S&P 500 to get dumped on. They got hit real hard. And a 4% correction for NASDAQ or 3% for S&P is a big deal. You don't see that happen very often. I mean, look at all these candlesticks. That large, that much magnitude is pretty uncommon. Okay. So again, unfortunate there, lost that support there at about 13,000 for NASDAQ. Now, again, that's just some stuff that's factoring in, right? So we got to understand real world stuff's making a difference here. And Bitcoin, of course, from a technical standpoint, looks, I wouldn't say terrible, but it doesn't look great. Okay. So again, what we'll probably see happen and what we want to do is kind of just pull this line out here and just have that available for later. That is a potential support level. We lose 17.6, we got to have another conversation. I don't think we'll see that though. I do feel as if 19,800 being a previous very strong support level in the past is something that we need to recognize here, right? So again, this is a previous resistance / support level. And I think that it's going to continue to hold. Even if we might see a candle wick down below, we're probably likely going to see some type of recovery. Again, not a dramatic recovery. And the bottom line here is that this descending type of trend, both the long term and the short term, are bearish, right? So until we break above either, we can expect it to continue lower. That's generally the consensus. Now, again, a lot of different schools of thought. I felt comfortable opening a long position with 2 entry points, and we just hit our second target at 19,800. That's more of a long-term picture, though, right? That's not necessarily something that's going to convert tomorrow. It might, perhaps, we might see a green weekend, but I think it's less likely at this point. So again, just a handful of little things there. 20,000, 19,800 appears to be a potential support level. We got to see how much longer we can hold this level. There's a decent chance we could see something like this down here where the price action just continues to go sideways and then it kicks up again sometime during the week. But the fear, uncertainty, and doubt is very high right now, and that's something that is very relevant. All right, let's look at a few other things here. Back on the daily, we can see we're soon to test 30 on the RSI. So that does help us understand that we have a potential support there as well at 19,800. Because if you look at Bitcoin's history, while we have dipped below 30 on the RSI on a couple of occasions, we are typically in most cases bouncing off of 30 and or 70 when it gets there. Okay. So again, it's a pretty common characteristic to see the price action come back and turn itself around when it hits that over-exhaustive state, right? And with the relative strength index the last 14 days, we can see that we were extremely oversold. All right, shouldn't be this low, but it is, and that's just kind of the way it is. All right, take a look at the 4 hour. We can see that all the moving averages are above the price action. That's pretty standard. We're below 30 in the RSI here as well. Not to say it couldn't come lower, because it definitely can, but should it? Likely not, right? So we should see recovery here soon. Again, it's not going to be probably a strong recovery. It's not going to probably ramp back up. It'll likely be a consolidation to break this descending trend and an upside, or obviously continue downwards because it continues that lower low and the lower high pattern, or more specifically, lower highs that we're seeing, right? So again, lower highs are continuous here at this point. We need to kind of recognize that too. Furthermore, we do have a MACD divergence, of course. This is kind of just continuing itself. This is also fairly overextended, so I would say that there's a likelihood of a pullback. In other words, just basically the price action turning itself around to whatever extent. We can also see on TD sequential here, when we previously hit a 9, the price went sideways for some time. We came up to an 8 here, of course, and dumped all the way down to a 9, and we're still in overtime. Okay, so in all reality, we shouldn't be as low as we are right now. There's a lot of, I wouldn't say, I hate to use the word manipulation, but it really truly is. I mean, this should not have happened. I totally get like the large candlesticks, but the continuation further, even after the market closed yesterday, is kind of unnecessary. But you got to recognize this is a secondary market. Cryptocurrency is something that's supplemental, so to speak. People are going to pull money out of this first before they pull it out of the traditional stock markets. That's just kind of something you got to kind of come to terms with. It's not necessarily a necessity, if that makes any sense. At least not yet. Perhaps until regulation occurs, we can maybe see something different, but for right now, that's kind of where we're at. Looking at the hourly though, we can kind of see, I think a very similar narrative here where we hit 9, and then of course, extreme overtime, back on over, and then down to a reset here. So, I mean, it's slowly breaking down as per usual, but we are, once again, fairly overextended to the downside. We can see RSI is still cranking, and of course, a lot of other reasons to consider maybe closing your short position. And I say that maybe because it hasn't happened yet, because we've got the lagging span here, soon to intersect with the price action, so another 6 to 8 hours, we should see that intersection occur. When that does happen, just say for example the price goes sideways, then it's a good sign to consider taking your profits while you can, right? At least profits to the downside if you're shorting. Right, that's what I'm getting at here. The conversion line's below the baseline, and we're well below the cloud. So all green lights here essentially for a short position to remain open, but it's not screaming and telling us that you want to open a short position right now, because it feels like it's near the end of its duration here, right? And if we take a look at this correction here from top to bottom, another 10% correction in just over 24 hours. So we've seen 10% corrections on 2 Fridays, essentially, in a row. All right. So again, even though we had a period of consolidation here, we should not experience the price action to come tremendously lower from here based on how over-exhaustive it is and the amount of volume that we're seeing too. Like we saw a tremendous amount of volume on both these Fridays, and then to follow that kind of just went sideways. So in a lot of ways, if we look at the volume profile, we can see that there's some key level resistances right at about 21,500, and of course, big surprise, right at about 24,000. So again, just a handful of little things to look at and put in your tool bag, but that's essentially where we're at here for Bitcoin. Not great, not terrible, just is what it is. Okay, it's kind of standard stuff, unfortunately, based on traditional markets and the crazy nonsensical world that we're living in right now with the all the Fed meetings and inflation, all that garbage. It's just kind of coming to a head. All right, so please recognize that and understand that. What seems logical is never truly something that happens in cryptocurrency. It's like, oh, okay, it's supposed to turn around. Oh no, it keeps going. That happens quite a lot, and you just got to recognize there's a lot of other fundamental catalysts factoring in. From a technical standpoint, we shouldn't experience much further downside. 19.8 should hold. That's essentially what I'm seeing. Again, TA doesn't always matter when Jerome Powell just dumps the market in a matter of 5 minutes. All right, so anyways, thanks so much for joining me here. Hope this made sense and was clear. Obviously, if you're not currently a community member, CryptoCache.tech is a site, link in the description below. I have a Trading Academy community and Signal group, and we all learn and grow together. It's a fantastic experience. Got a lot of new folks coming over there too as well. So, happy to see some new faces. It's really awesome. So check that out in your own time. Thank you so much for your time. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.